Hello, dear listeners. Welcome back to another episode of the Peculiarstars Lifestyle Network. I remain your host, Emmanuel. And today I'm going to be talking about low self-esteem. It's something a lot of us deal with, feeling not so great about ourselves. So one big reason for this is when we keep telling ourselves we are not good enough or smart enough. It's like having a constant negative voice in our heads. But it's not just us doing it to ourselves. Sometimes people around us or society can make us feel like we are not measuring up. That can really mess with how we see ourselves. We don't talk about the horrible effect of low self-esteem enough. There are people who legit believe they don't deserve love. So when they are with someone who finally loves them, they will fight for the relationship with everything they have at the expense of their dignity. They always have this anxiety, and it's always like, if I leave, who would love me? What if there is no one out there for me anymore? So they always have this anxiety. They begin to ask themselves these questions like, what if this is my last chance at being in a relationship? When you have low self-esteem, your thoughts sounds like this. You might be in the midst of people and people are just laughing. Maybe someone is cracking a joke and you just believe they are all laughing at you. You are doing something and you are asking yourself, am I being normal? There are a lot of questions that you begin to ask yourself, like, I just know I'm going to say something stupid. Maybe I asked to talk in public or to face an audience. And you just see, like, you ask yourself different questions like, I'm sure my face is a mess. Why does my voice sound like that of a frog? We need to stop bullying ourselves. One of the greatest signs of low self-esteem is the obsession with always wanting to be right in every argument. Maybe you're having a conversation or an argument with someone and you're trying to, talk about their own views, their own points, their experiences, insights, and you just don't want to listen to their own point. You don't want to listen to them. You want them to just agree that what you have said is the only correct thing. And sometimes you might already be sounding stupid, but you don't want to agree. You already know that you are saying nonsense sometimes, but you just don't want to agree, and you are just so adamant about it. Another one is the fact that you are trying too hard to make people see or perceive you as important. You need to live your life in a way that is consistent with a set of values, and you will see that eventually people will reckon with you. I want you all to share with us in the comments, what do you think about low self-esteem? You see, there is a specific type of low self-esteem that compulsively pushes you to brag about everything, both the things you have and the things you don't have. You see, it makes a liar out of you because you will always need to be who you are not to impress people who don't care. There are a lot of people that don't really care. No matter how you brag, no matter how you lie that you have something that you do not have, they don't really care. So you just begin to fool yourself. You see, that compulsion to impress social media and have people believe you are living large. I know you can't help it. You just want to show up and show off. That's your low self-esteem finding expression. Have you ever noticed someone in your life who constantly brags about everything? What are your thoughts on why they might do that? Share with us in the comments. You see, the sad fact about having low self-esteem is that every other person sees your value except yourself. And sadly, once they know you can't see it, they will start treating you exactly the way you treat yourself. Low self-esteem can be influenced by different factors, and criticism from parents is one of them. I want you all to also list some factors that you think contribute to low self-esteem in the comments. You see, when parents consistently criticize their children, it can affect their confidence and contribute to the development of low self-esteem. I noticed that when parents criticize their children, they usually focus on their mistakes. And you see, when there is a constant negative feedback from the parent, it can make children believe that they are not good enough. For example, imagine a parent that constantly criticizes the physical appearance of their child, forgetting that you are the one that gave birth to that child. This can lead to the child developing a negative self-image and can severely impact their self-esteem. When parents consistently point out their child's mistake or shortcomings, it can create a sense of anxiety. For example, a child that is not doing well in school, and instead of trying to encourage the child, you are always saying you are not good enough, you are not trying your best, you are supposed to be able to come out first in the class and all those stuff. Over time, the child may become afraid of trying new things or taking risks for fear of not meeting their parents' expectations, and this fear of failure can undermine their self-confidence, and it can contribute to low self-esteem. Share with us in the comments, how do you think parents can help their children feel good about themselves? And how do you think they can correct them properly when they make mistakes? You see, physical and sexual abuse is also a factor of low self-esteem. Let's take for example a teenager, maybe a very young girl that was physically abused by a family member and has been threatened not to talk, not to say anything, all the time. The trauma can affect them and it can bring about low self-esteem. Sometimes they may even blame themselves for the abuse, believing that they are somehow responsible for what happened, and these self-blaming thoughts can significantly impact their self-esteem, and it can make it very difficult for them to develop a healthy sense of self and to maintain positive relationship. So what are your views about physical or sexual abuse? Do you think it can bring about low self-esteem? Share with us in the comments. Neglect or being ignored can also be a significant contributor to low self-esteem. You see, when individuals experience a lack of attention, care, or even validation from important people in their life, it can deeply impact their sense of self-worth. For example, during childhood, receiving consistent care, attention, or support is very important for healthy emotional development. And however, when children experience neglect, which can manifest as a lack of maybe parental involvement in their life, maybe the parents have a very busy schedule and they don't even have time for their children, or emotional unavailability or indifference, it can have long-lasting effects on their self-esteem. As I said earlier, for instance, imagine a child growing up in a household where parents are preoccupied with their own issues, maybe work, they're always at work, maybe personal problems or substance abuse. You see, the child's physical and emotional needs may be neglected, and the results, the child may develop low self-esteem. Social exclusion is also a factor. There was this post I read online some times ago, and the guy was talking about when he was in secondary school, and he said anytime they are making noise in the class rep or any other person will just stand up and say anybody that make noise is going to marry this particular girl. He mentioned the name of the girl, but I can't remember now, and the whole class will just be silent. Imagine the kind of trauma and the low self-esteem the girl would have experienced then. You see, experiencing social exclusion or being constantly ignored by peers can contribute to low self-esteem. Humans are inherently social beings, and a sense of belonging and acceptance is crucial for healthy self-esteem. So when individuals feel constantly left out, ignored, or rejected by their peers, it can seriously impact their perception of themselves. And lastly, there's this unrealistic expectations or imposed standard that people have, and I think social media is one of the reasons for this. When you begin to pressure yourself to meet some unattainable standard and you constantly feel like you need to live up to some unrealistic expectations, it can negatively impact your low self-esteem. And these expectations may relate to maybe your appearance, your achievement, success, or other aspects of life. Today you are going to see a lot of people in the gym. I know it's good to exercise, it's good to stay fit, but some people are not going because of that. They want to, maybe achieve a perfect physical appearance like a celebrity they saw on social media or they saw on TV. And some celebrities did surgery to get that kind of appearance, but they are not going to say it. Some people want to, dress like them, walk like them, and all those stuffs. The moment you're unable to achieve all these stuffs, it can make you feel like you are not enough. And the fact is just that even without all these things, you are still not less of yourself. Have you ever had a personal experience where unrealistic expectations had an impact on your well-being? Share with us in the comments. Now, what's the big deal with low self-esteem? You see, it can stop us from growing and trying new things because we are scared we might mess up or be judged. In a relationship, it can make it tough to say what we need, creating problems in how we connect with others. So how do we change things? It's about telling that negative voice to chill out, giving ourselves credit for the good stuff we do, and being kind to ourselves, taking small steps like setting doable goals and celebrating when we achieve them. You see, it can slowly make us see ourselves in a better light. And don't forget, talking to friends, family, or professionals can really help. So to wrap it up, low self-esteem is a real thing and it messes with all parts of our lives. But by catching those negative thoughts, giving ourselves credit and getting support, we can start feeling better about who we truly are. So thank you so much for listening to this episode, and please remember to like, comment, share and subscribe to this channel. Bye for now.